Claire. I am so excited to be here with you with one last December doing a guest for my speaker series. I was talking to Cara and I was like, I really want to get you on, and I don't care if it's January because I still feel like we're in the mode of December, the mode of celebrating women and really thinking about what we want to do differently and create in 2024. So this is absolutely perfect timing, and I'm really, really thrilled to have Cara with me today. Before I get into things, let me share with you a little bit more about this series so that you have the opportunity to go back and look at some of the interviews that I've done over the past month. But basically, what I started a couple of years ago was an opportunity to showcase some of the top leaders inside of my Leadership Table Mastermind program. These are women who are truly changing the leadership table, doing the work, and they have such magnificently different and diverse approaches to leadership and how they solve challenging problems at their institutions. And I wanted to give them a showcase and a platform to be able to share some of those ideas and provide some levels of inspiration with you. So you can go to my YouTube channel at stacymayer.com/YouTube and watch all of the past interviews. Actually, I'm going to need your all's help if you're watching today. Definitely say hi to me and Cara, especially if you know us. Say hi, Happy New Year. And if anybody's watching and they want to type things into the comments, that's helpful because the platform that I'm set up on, it doesn't allow me to type in the comments until after the broadcast. So stacymayer.com/YouTube. You can watch all of the past interviews, and it's an excellent way to kickstart your year and start to think about either what you're doing well and also what you want to do differently in 2024. So today, as I mentioned, I have the amazing Cara Merriman. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and then we're going to learn a little bit more about her leadership. Throughout today's broadcast, please feel free to ask questions or say hi or comments if anything resonates with you. It helps more and more people find this information as well and get inspired. So thank you, Cara. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course, Stacy. Thank you for having me and hosting this. Happy to fit this in January and kick off the year.
Yeah.
My name is Cara Merriman, and I lead as the Vice President of Corporate Development at Inspiration Mobility. We are an electrification accelerator. We're accelerating the adoption of electric vehicles for businesses, financing, managing, building infrastructure. In my role, I focus on strategic partnerships and initiatives, both internally and externally, to grow and scale the business for a startup. My career is focused on the renewables and climate space, and this is just where I find tremendous impact and opportunity for innovation and excellence.
Yeah, Cara is such a great example of changing the world with both her leadership and the organizations that she works for, and really making sure that she's able to make that impact and do the work that's very meaningful to her. And so I really appreciate you. and so let's learn a little bit more about your leadership. Can you take a minute to describe your leadership style and maybe some secrets to success?
Sure. Just a minute. Yeah, I think of myself as a leader who is able to instill and empower groups to take action. And I attribute that to my ability to do a few things. So I lead with vision. I find this is particularly important in these high growth environments, but I'm constantly articulating and re-articulating my vision for the future and where we're aiming for my team and my leaders and my peers. The vision will change, but it's a way to build trust and a forward-thinking mentality for my group. Another aspect is empowering based on others' strengths. So I really excel at leveraging and understanding and empowering my team based on their strengths, and try not to square peg round hole anybody, where possible. And it's not always perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. Sometimes you do have to do things you're not good at or don't want to do, but I think that's where personal growth often happens the most, when people are operating in a place of strength and not fear. And then the last way I empower groups to take action is by making decisions and unlocking other people's abilities for groups to make decisions. It seems so simple, but I'm really comfortable anticipating and making decisions based on data or experience or risk analysis, And sometimes the decision is just to pause or to escalate it to another, authority. But I think it's one of the most important parts of instilling and empowering groups to take action. And I would argue about business in general is being able to make decisions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is huge. There's nothing simple about anything that you've described. And what I admire so much about how you described it is that, it sounds like you've really learned how to understand your own personal strengths and then get the ability to then bring out others, right? And so you can just tell that you've honed in on these gifts and what you're uniquely good at. So I can only assume that these three areas have probably led to some of your career success. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure, yeah. So I think of leadership as bidirectional. So it's like how you show up for your executive team and your peers, and also how you empower your team if you're leading a team or a project. And so for that future thinking vision, yeah, I'm able to see the parts and the sum and translate the vision into actionable ways. In terms of like leading up or leading, my executive team, once I have that vision in place, I've found that historically, like resources, ideas, people, everything starts to unlock and flow, and it makes those asks for access or resources, it just makes it much clearer. And also makes it easier to change the vision because you have that initial alignment. You have that kind of, way, like common language or how to talk about something, like an opportunity or a problem. And then in terms of my team, the future thinking vision is, communicating that regularly. Not everyone will get it. There will be gaps, but just trying to bring everyone along. I often suggest, if someone doesn't connect with the vision, just go home, think about it. We're not going to change it, but just acting with that decisiveness and clarity, I think it really does build trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about too, when you lead with the vision, you talked about how the vision will sometimes change, but a lot of times we skip over even articulating what that vision is. And so then there is confusion. And so when you're asking for resources, there's always like there's this saying, what's in it for them, right? And especially when we're managing up and trying to get other executive leaders who have their own set of priorities. And generally speaking, we can still find common ground. We can find that common vision. And so both understanding it for yourself, but then making sure you're communicating it. And then, of course, if it changes along the way, that's fine. But we're all on board with the same thing. And so I think that is just such a key. If you're listening to today's interview and you're thinking, okay, what do I want to try and do differently? She's not talking about something that it requires, several hours of thinking, strategic thinking every single day, right? Just spend some time, come up with what your vision is for the next couple of months, and then start trying it out, start communicating it, seeing what resonates with other people, include others along the way. So this is really huge. It's going to go a long way for a lot of people, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, inevitably, another part of leadership is dealing with difficult situations, right? And so we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, especially with your decision making skills and understanding people's strengths and so on. But can you give us any tools of the trade for how you, in particular, deal with difficult situations at work?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer every day. It's difficult. There's so many
Yeah.
challenging situations. 2 points to latch onto, I think, are kind of going back to that empowering others. I like to see people for where they are, meet them where they are. So that constantly like listening, observing, and understanding people's motivations or fears, or often like what they are trying to protect, what they think they need to be protecting for the business or for themselves. Again, that won't necessarily change the outcome that you as a leader, are trying to execute on or achieve. And you can't placate everyone, but it really helps leading in difficult situations tremendously when you're, trying to meet people where they are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Have there been any situations that, it sounds like in general, I would say another one of your strengths is being well prepared, right? Would you say, have there been any obstacles or roadblocks along the way where you were like, oh, this is Like I understand the strengths. I've articulated the vision. I'm trying to work within, but I still am hitting roadblocks over and over. Any magic sauce or anything you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a pretty like kind of structural, like I like to think about the structure of things. So kind of going back to another area I lead in is like that making decisions. So sometimes I try to understand like what is preventing people from getting the yes that I need.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do they not have enough information? Do they not think that they can make that decision? Do they like just understanding what is preventing us from moving forward? And again, that happens with an executive team, with peers, with folks that you're leading. It's the same set of tools, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Indicators. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is good. And it really kind of points to that key thing, which is I think so often we'll say that person is frustrating, or this situation, like they just don't want to deliver, or I can never get them to understand. But what you're talking about, like this entire interview, is a really zoomed out approach to really looking at the bigger picture. What could be the bottlenecks? What's the roadblocks? What does matter to them? How are they not understanding the vision? Right? Like just like everything allows you to truly be able to problem solve. And if we're so far in the weeds and we're so far in the situation, just being like, I just wish that it would deliver, or I just wish this thing would change, then we're never going to be able to really solve it, right? We can just kind of shake them harder, but it doesn't help anybody, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, this is hard too.
Yeah.
It's still hard. So.
Yeah, exactly. But it just seems like it gives you leverage, right? And so, as you're listening to this conversation, as I said at the beginning, I want you to be able to take away some ideas, some things, like if you find yourself in these problem areas at work, and wanting to solve them in a better way, just try some of the tools that we're talking about today, right? And then develop your own. Ask yourself, if I'm somebody who is very skilled and adept at challenging situations, why? What is it that I do? And then perhaps we could have you on next year's December Doing It series to showcase your own leadership. I challenge all of you. So that being said, I have a short PDF. It's a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Some of this actually was probably inspired by Cara. She has been at her organization for 6 months now, or so,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah, in her current position. And I remember having conversations with you too about, what are you going to do for the first 30, 60, 90 days, and really wanting to put that into a concrete plan to have really maximize your leadership. So this is a downloadable PDF that you can get at stacymayer.com / 90 days plan. And Marie has already been super helpful putting some links into the comments section. So if you could drop that link to download the 30, 60, 90-day plan, that would be fantastic. And as we close out today's conversation, my favorite question, and I ask all of my guests, is why do you personally feel motivated to have a voice at the table?
Yeah. So for me, once you operate at a certain level, I find it's harder to step back. It's how I think and approach problems and opportunities. And I kind of want to keep adding value and growing, at that table. And by doing so, I believe, and I've seen, and I can, attest to, I create even more for others. I'm able to elevate other folk that I believe in and give them the tools and the opportunities to make their own impact, on climate change, or, whatever industry or sector they're passionate about. And that's really my why at the end of the day.
Yeah, I could see that, right? Because I can tell that you think very deeply about your role, the problems that you're solving, the bigger picture, the vision. If you're thinking like that every day, then the answer really comes down to why not me, right? I want to have that voice at the table. I'm ready. And then I'm sure are able to better see it in others, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, why not you too?
Yeah.
Let me give you these resources. So I love that. Thank you so much, Cara. Thank you for being here. And
Happy New Year. Thank you again, Stacy. I hope we get to work together more this year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you. Bye.